All right, greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. How y'all doing? Good to see you. It's Friday. and stuff. That's how we say it in LA. Everything is followed by "and stuff." Not, that's not true. Some people say it like that. These politicians are crooked and stuff, like that. What's up? Going south, Bella, John. People rolling in. How you doing, Rockfin people? How you doing? We're live on Rockfin, Rumble, YouTube. That's interesting. The nanotubes thing, Denver, or what? And also, what you have? Oh, the memes. Yeah, the memes. Memes are bad and stuff. um, Actually, memes are some of the best ways to convey messages because um, they can't be interpreted. I mean, maybe it's different now because of AI or imaging power, but memes have been one of the best ways to convey information and or ideas because it's harder for the algorithms and the software, to track what's being, they can't. A meme is just a picture, right, with words on it, but it's like harder for them to like decipher than it is just actual text. So it's a lot easier for algorithms to base, whatever they're doing on your text in your post. But if you're posting just a meme and the meme itself is conveying the message for whatever reason, but it might be different now. I don't know. Yeah, memes are essentially turning advertising fundamentals against the system. Yeah, sure. Oh, that's interesting. Swami posted this about. Ooh, I don't know if we can talk about this right now. We might have to jump on to Rockfin later. Wow. Yeah, well, this is just more in the. Maybe we'll talk about it later. Uh, oh, Grok reads the text on an image. Yeah, like historically, memes have been better because of that, because they can't decipher what's on the image. But I think they're probably getting better at it. Well, everything can be interpreted to fit a different agenda. Step, you know, I feel like that's true with almost everything. Everything can become evidence of your side or the other side, the other opinion or standpoint. Okay, well, let's get into it. Lots and lots and lots to talk about. Um, so really, really quick, we'll just go through all of the things that are happening with the climate, like real fast. just to give an overview of the, all of these things that are happening. It's like only, uh, I'm just giving you a general overview of like how messed up things are on the planet. And I get, people like to pick apart one particular, you know, one particular, well, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, one particular disaster to indicate like, that it was man-made or somebody's doing something or something, and that it could all very well be true, of course, but like, you know, but they miss all the other things that are happening happening around the world, right? This flood was definitely caused, and it was a land grab and a money grab again, could be, but it's hard to know. But the thing is like that kind of scrutiny is not paid, you know, the attention is not paid to all the other things that are happening all over the planet, right? So, um, and if you take all the things that are happening, all the extreme events that are happening all over the planet all together, it puts together the picture that maybe the maybe the planet is in ill health, and it's okay to acknowledge that. Doesn't make you doesn't make you a communist or anything like that. Anyways, uh, so real quick, Chile got huge forest fires going on in Chile and Argentina. This is 128 acres. That's not. I mean, it's big enough. I've seen bigger fires, but that's going on in Chile. Here's a fire um, in El Bolson, Argentina. Evacuations are underway in El Bolson due to rapidly spreading wildfire. The municipality has ordered the evacuation of multiple areas in Mayin, Ahogado. That's that's freaking scary. That's a wall of flames. Uh, France, Europe has been getting battered by relentless flooding. Worst floods in a decade batter Western France as a third major storm in a week brings record rainfall. And Zambia also getting it from the weather gods. Heavy rain, heavy rains trigger floods in parts of Zambia. And these things, mostly the floods, are just seem to be continuously just rocking Europe, Asia, Africa, the U.S., and all of that causes a lot of disruption, economic or otherwise. Well, this is interesting. The White House and point to the White House. The White House confirms that. So the CIA recently came out and said that the evidence pointed to a lab leak for COVID. YouTube, don't bother, you know, like worrying about this part because the CIA said the most likely uh, evidence was that it was a lab leak. Let's see if we can actually find the CIA post. But anyways, So so recently, um, it was pretty much confirmed that it was a lab leak. Let's see. Let's see. Um, oh, here we go. It's from the New York Times. The New York Times. The New York Times. YouTube, stand down. This is from the New York Times. Okay, sharing mainstream news here. Mainstream media. This is not some wild-eyed theory. CIA now favors lab leak theory to explain COVID's origins. A new analysis that began under the Biden administration is released by the CIA's new director, John Ratcliffe, who wants the agency to get off the sidelines in the debate. Anyways, so the CIA is saying, hey, looks like it's lab leak. So the White House came out and said, hey, I guess Trump was right way back in the day when everybody made fun of him for saying it came from a lab. And you got to give him that point. He did say that. Everybody did mock him and turned out to be correct. But everybody mocked anybody who said it anyways. I mean, I had to ban a longtime watcher of the channel because he just wouldn't leave me alone, had chased me around the comment section and insisted that I was a lunatic for not believing the real story, that it came from a pangolin or a bat cave or something. And he just was wild-eyed insistent that like I, was wrong or whatever. And I was like, you know, peace be with you. Um, so he was wrong too. Um, but you know, the worst thing you can do is absolutely know that you're right. that's the that's the that's the next, the next step from that is probably something not good. When you absolutely know that you're right, you're absolutely 100% correct. Um, that is it's the first step to being proven incredibly wrong. Anyways, you think that both sides are false, Denver? I mean, I have a I have a different theory about it, or not different, but you know, they're still making it seem like oopsie, right? There, that's the difference. Anyways, but so here is the White House press secretary saying like, well, yeah, the it was probably um, this again. YouTube layoff.
I also would just like to point out that several years ago, when I was working in this press shop and President Trump would take to this podium to brief the American people on COVID-19, he suggested that COVID very well may have came from a lab in Wuhan, China. And many members in this very room mocked him for that, said he was spewing conspiracy theories. He was not. We now know that to be the confirmable truth. It took many years for it to come out, but the president was right in this instance again. Sure. I also would just like to point out that several.
I mean, they're obviously, they want to play up the we won. They're trying to. Anyways, whatever. Uh, so what is your theory, Denver? If you got a Cliff Notes version. Well, yeah, certainly. If you have one side of the political spectrum, if you have the believe science side, you know, insisting that they're right and the other side is a lunatic, and then you have the other side, they'd be skeptical of science side, which is also correct, a correct stance to take. I don't know that believe science is the correct stance to take, honestly, but well, that's a different discussion. But if you have the other side, fervently thinking they're right, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Let's keep going. There's a new footage in the plane crash, in the DC plane crash, that does make it look a lot weirder because, again, I mean, this actually just confirms, my views on it from yesterday that, you know, there was no, you really had to, like, it would probably take some skill to get the helicopter to hit that plane, right? They're both moving objects, they're in the air. Like, it takes skill to maneuver like that. And the chances that this happened accidentally are this big, this big, right? And it looks like the helicopter is going straight for the plane. So, you know, again, the chances that this was an accident, so small, probably in the 0.000 something percentage, because I just don't see how that happens. Like, something malfunctioned and just hit the plane. No, no, no. I don't think so. Swing it. Yeah. Anyways, let's watch this. Fiorella, in this video footage of the Black Hawk colliding with the American Airlines passenger plane, we see how the helicopter directly beelines for the plane. There was no attempt to stop by the helicopter. This makes zero sense. Needs to be answered, as it would be very unlikely for the Hawk not to see the plane, and at this point, the plane would have likely seen it as well. From a previous angle, there seems to be an attempt by the plane to avoid the Hawk. Like he makes a last minute turn, I think. Anyways, this might be
These
distressing.
videos obtained exclusively by CNN show previously unseen angles of the
Here it
collision
is,
between an
closer
American
up.
Airlines flight and a US Army Black Hawk helicopter. In the first video, the Black Hawk can be seen flying at speed over the Potomac from the left side of the screen.
Sorry.
The American Airlines plane can be seen flying towards the airport before the two collide, causing a mid-air explosion.
They had a split screen
Black
there.
Hawk can be seen flying at speed over the Potomac from the left side of the screen. The American Airlines plane can be seen flying towards the airport before the two collide, causing a mid-air explosion and fall into the river.
God dang it. Man, that sucks.
In a second video, you can see the Army helicopter and American Airlines plane travel toward each other.
Guys, hold on one second, okay?
After the collision and subsequent explosion, the airliner can be seen spinning into the water.
All right, I'm back. Anyways. Yes. Zalipa says, landing and takeoff are the most dangerous times, but usually not because you might get T-boned by a Black Hawk. T-boned indeed. Man, that's horrific. It's hard to watch that. Pete Hegseth says something that causes eyebrows to raise. About the helicopter flight. Let's listen to this. Pete Hegseth says the Black Hawk that collided with the plane over DCA was on a continuity of government training mission. A continuity of government training mission. What? You guys know what continuity of government means? Quickly, continuity of government is the idea that if an emergency would happen, like a nuclear war or something, that there's backups in place to make sure that the government continues to function and operate. Let's say if the president wasn't there anymore, or if the government wasn't there anymore, or if normal operations weren't there anymore, normal communications or operations, they have all these like redundancies in place to keep the government going. So, but is there? He says the continuity of government training exercise, and people kind of took that. People were kind of like that makes it even stranger. But whatever.
Staff Sergeant and CW2 Chief Warrant Officer on a routine annual retraining of night flights on a standard corridor for a continuity of government mission. The military does dangerous things. It does routine things. Staff Sergeant.
Okay. That's what I'm thinking, Bella. I think that's what a lot of people are thinking. Who was on that plane that they needed to run a Black Hawk helicopter into it? I mean, I think that's what everybody is thinking. On some level. I'm not saying that everybody is like, for sure. But seeing as how it absolutely does not look like it really could be an accident, and then following the logic that it's not an accident, and then you have to wonder, was this what was the purpose of this? And then the next question should be, well, who was the purpose of this? I don't know. Can't tell you because I don't know. All right. Here's a little something from Whitney Webb on continuity of government. Of course, most of her things are just so long and detailed and full of facts and information. There's just no way we could read the whole thing or even close to the whole thing on this show, but we'll read a little bit about it. What Newsweek conveniently failed to mention about continuity of government, though often discussed in relation to nuclear war or similarly chaotic scenario, continuity of government plans can be triggered even by popular, nonviolent opposition to an unpopular war abroad. Well, yeah, anyways. It exists solely to keep the current system in place, regardless of the cost. Last week, Newsweek published a report entitled "Inside the Military's Top Secret Plans If Coronavirus Cripples a Government," which offers vague descriptions of different military plans that could be put into effect if the civilian government were to be largely incapacitated, with a focus on the potential of the current novel coronavirus pandemic to result in such. This is from 2020, by the way, to result in such a scenario. So in the article, they pointed out continuity of government plans include the devolution of leadership, constitutional authority, which he notes could circumvent the normal constitutional provisions for government succession. Military commanders could be placed in control around America. Hello, that sounds like martial law, and or you could probably invoke some kind of coup if you're saying, well, we need to keep the continuity of government. Anyways. Yes, Denver. I think so. And if you know, it took off from a Saudi Arabian, linked address. But who I think is behind it is not Saudi Arabia. Ding, ding, ding. If you're thinking what I'm thinking, that's what I'm thinking. If they're exercising we could just remember when remember when someone took some control of some airplanes and they did some wild things. Oh, we could take control of some Blackhawks too, and you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even expect it. In fact, we could probably take control of Air Force One. We being, you think what I'm thinking? Ding, ding, ding. Anyways, there are key aspects of COG and its development that Arkin leaves out. For instance, in his timeline on how such plans have developed in the post-World War II era, he conveniently fails to mention any of the Reagan administration's major changes to COG, including the Reagan-era executive order on which all current COG programs are based. Oh man, we're going to get too deep into this. Indeed, many of the extra-constitutional aspects of COG that Arkin mentions began during the Reagan administration, extra-constitutional, when these plans were redrafted to largely exclude members of Congress, including the Speaker of the House, from succession plans, and even moved to essentially eliminate Congress in the event of COG being implemented, with near total power instead being given to the executive branch and the military. Who knows? It could be all kinds of entities that might want to engage in this. I don't know. It was also during this time that the devolution aspect of COG was hammered out, as it created 3 president cabinet teams to be stationed in different parts of the country outside of the nation's capital. Arkin's decision to not mention how COG was a major focus of the Reagan administration is striking, given that the administration poured hundreds of millions of dollars annually into COG planning and development and also conducted COG drills on a regular basis. Furthermore, in 1987, the COG programs of that era were deeply connected with the Herald termed, this is from the Miami Herald, a virtual parallel government outside the traditional cabinet departments and agencies that began operating almost from the day Reagan took office, and included military and intelligence operatives as well as many of Reagan's closest advisors, including CIA Director William Casey. The Herald further claimed that this parallel government had been responsible for the Iran-Contra scandal, as well as drafting of martial law plans for national emergencies, as well as the monitoring of U.S. citizens considered potential security risks, and on and on. Okay. You're going to have to read the article because I can't read it all. But that's just a basic kind of understanding of what's happening with continuity of government. Very basic, very limited. But shoot, what was I going to say? I had something to say about that. I mean, I would argue that the continuity of government had been going on long before Reagan, right? I mean, continuity of government was kind of involved in JFK. Continuity of government was kind of involved in the removal of Nixon, which was also tied to JFK, right? So, and I'm sure, better historians than I can go back. You want to go back to Abraham Lincoln? There was a continuity of government involved in Abraham Lincoln being taken out. Who's behind the continuity of government, or, anyways. Anyways. There's a lot to say about this, and a lot we don't know. So I'll just leave it at that. But that is all of that. When Pete Hegseth said continuity of government exercise, people went, "What? What is happening? What is going on? What is this about?" There are more questions being, triggered than answers, right? Available. What we're getting is more questions, which is why I was saying, and we're going to see this, even over the next couple days. There's going to be more information that I'm sure is going to leave people scratching their head about what's really going on. What is really going on? All right, let's speaking of scary things. Uh Here's a little demonstration of drone power in China. And we were talking about drones yesterday and the fact that they admitted that the drones on the East Coast were, if not government operations, government sanctioned. They knew, they were testing, they were pushing it out there to see how people felt about that, which is what I thought. They're doing this to see how people feel about this and to also get people used to the idea that there are going to be drones just parked above your house, right? But this is impressive, beautiful, and also incredibly frightening. This many drones capable of doing kind of like um, coordinated aerial acrobatics, right? Gene says, so this could have been a psyop to prepare us for a planned, contrived need for. I mean, maybe. Maybe. I mean, we're in the age of chaos, um, and not ambient, accidental chaos, right? Like controlled chaos, like people pushing the chaos on us because people don't operate. That's how you get people to do what you want. If you create enough fear and chaos and you have people like, I don't know what's happening, please help me feel comfortable and normal again, like you can kind of get anybody to go along with anything. It's the last 4 or 5 years indicated, showed people that is completely true. So Trump was saying he wants an iron dome like Israel. And if you have people believing that like some entity is up there in the skies flying around, you don't know if it's aliens or China or Iran. You might be like, well, yeah, we need a dome because man, was scary. I don't know what's happening. I'm frightened. I don't want one of those things landing on my house or landing on me. Right. So you might just be like, heck yeah, let's get a dome going, guys. You thought Trump was talking about a wall to keep out aliens. He meant literally aliens. Okay. All right. This is a crappy story about a man who died after he couldn't afford his inhaler. And this happened under Biden, y'all. So, the timing of the story might allow people to go like, yeah, this is Trump's fault. No, no, no. This happened pre-Trump. Trump wasn't even president. This happened because of policies that were undertaken. Well, I mean, you could call it corporate shenanigans or malfeasance or whatever. It's not, maybe you can't blame it on Biden. I'm just saying it happened under the Biden administration. I'm not blaming Biden for it. Oh, where is it? Oh, here we go. Sorry. Man's asthma inhaler cost went from $66 to $539, like a tenfold increase almost. Then he died, Wisconsin lawsuit says. Family of a Wisconsin man is suing him after they say he died from an asthma attack. He couldn't afford his inhaler. He was 22. Apparently on January 10th, Schmidtnecht, Cole Schmidtnecht, went to Walgreens Pharmacy in Appleton to fill a prescription from his physician when he was told that the medication was no longer covered by his insurance. And it's more about the insurance companies. But things like this, I feel like the law should, right? Like life-saving medicines, things that you might have to have, heart medications or blood pressure medication or things that you have to have on hand or else you might expire. Yeah, it's a horrible story. On January 10th, Smitnet went to a Walgreens and he couldn't fill his prescription. Excuse me. The complaint said Optum RX did not give Schmidtnecht a 30-day notice of any of the change, as Wisconsin law requires. As a result, he did not have the opportunity to ask for an exception to Optum RX's reclassification of the medication under its formulary that suddenly made his normal medication prohibitively expensive. Yeah, $600 for an inhaler? Heck no. Optum RX said in a statement that Walgreens pharmacists should have contacted Schmidtnecht's doctor about 3 other clinically appropriate alternatives available at a tier 1 copay. Well, yeah, all of this should have happened. They didn't offer Schmidtnecht a generic option. He left Walgreens without the medication he needed. Over the next 5 days, Schmidtnecht repeatedly struggled to breathe, relying solely on his old rescue emergency inhaler to limit his symptoms because he did not have a preventative inhaler designed for daily use. On January 15th, he had a severe asthma attack. His roommate rushed him to the hospital, but he became unresponsive and pulseless in the car. Anyways, they're now facing a lawsuit. Was it United? Who was the? Sorry. Optum RX, but I feel like they're a subsidiary of United Health. Is that right? I think they are. Hold on. Yes, they are the pharmacy benefit manager of the United Health Group. So there you go. All right. Microplastics are being linked to premature births. Tiny plastic pollution more than 50% higher in placentas from preterm births than those from full term births. Whoa. I mean, that's pretty major. Study has found microplastic and nanoplastic pollution to be significantly higher in placentas from premature birth. So, pregnant mothers out there, you probably might want to limit, even if you're thinking about getting pregnant, if before you're pregnant, maybe limit your exposure to all those plastics. Think about what you're storing your food in, or getting your food, where you're getting your food from, where you're storing your liquids in, where, are you a bottled water drinker? I mean, maybe you're getting microplastics from somewhere else. I don't know. The levels were much higher than previously detected in blood, suggesting the tiny plastic particles were accumulating in the placenta. Or maybe it's just genetics. I don't know. The higher average levels found in the shorter pregnancies were a big surprise for researchers, as longer terms could be expected to lead to more accumulation. Preterm birth is the leading cause of infant death worldwide, and the reasons for about 2/3 of all preterm births were unknown. Um, the established link between air pollution and millions of premature births has spurred the research team to investigate plastic pollution. The new study only demonstrates an association between microplastics and premature births. Further research is needed in cell cultures and animal models to determine if the link is causal. Y'all think it's causal or no? What say ye? Um, Shani says it might be a personal responsibility thing. I mean, sure. Do you think RFK Jr. is going to lower the amount of microplastics in the environment if he gets confirmed? Or did he get confirmed? Or did he get denied? Does anybody have any news on that? Do we know when he's going to be confirmed? Let's see. Are we waiting? I think he had his last hearing yesterday. So I don't know when they're actually going to vote on it. I guess he's not confirmed yet. Anyways, yeah. I mean, I agree, Shawnee. Like, that shouldn't be something that you have to. It shouldn't be something that you have to consider when you're going to get pregnant or are pregnant. But unfortunately, it is also air pollution. So, do you live in a place that's has high levels of air pollution? Maybe you should just move out to the country where there's clean air. Just pick up and leave, because you know how easy that is. All right. A pangolin kissed fruit bat. uh, all right. This is hilarious, just for the headline, and that's the only reason I'm showing this. Excuse me, golly. Everything I say leaks, Zuckerberg says in leaked meeting audio. Shucks, I missed it again. there are a bunch of things that I think are value destroying for me to talk about, so I'm not going to talk about those, he said. All right, Zuck. Um, all right. Here is Chris Martinson talking about I don't know, this is one of those things that is just too, like, there are people talking about Trump wanting to get rid of income taxes, and I'm like, that ain't ever going to happen. That ain't ever going to happen. I just don't see it. I mean, yeah, I would be beyond shocked if something like that. Beyond shocked if something like that happened. He's stating it seriously, so I guess people are taking it seriously. But I'm not really taking it that seriously because, for one thing, the continuity of government, not the continuity of government, but kind of the checks and balances and the separation of um, separation of the parts of the government just would make something like this like way too difficult, right? I mean, we couldn't even get Medicare for all, and that's not necessarily due to checks and balances, but more so to the continuity of government, if you know what I mean. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no more, right? So there are people that are really invested in things operating the way that they operate, and they don't want it to change. Giving people Medicare for all or giving everybody free medical care, well, that would piss off those people who are invested in such a scenario of never changing. And same with the income tax thing. Like, no, 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 no. You are going to piss too many people off, especially the ones that are the people you don't want to piss off. So, yeah, I don't think it's happening. But let's look at Chris Martinson talking about this. Eliminating income taxes would permanently place Trump in the pantheon of greatest presidents ever. We're talking legit Mount Rushmore placement here. Okay. Okay. Uh, let's see. How many of those guys are dead? Well, I know that one of them is dead. And he's dead pretty much because he went against the you know who's. Anyways, uh why? Because income taxation is a system of bondage and slavery. You are required to work to pay your taxes. It's a control loop. True, true. All of these things are true. Freedom begets prosperity, not taxation and regulation, as far too many mistakenly believe in DC. Free people do wonderfully creative things. The authoritarians seek the exact opposite. And that's the tank shell. Oh man, there's a lot to debate on this. Chris Martinson is such a he's too smart for me to debate. I'm too dumb, but like I would love to debate Chris Martinson on this, on just this sentence that he just wrote. Not because I totally disagree, but there are some things that he's missing in that statement. Things he's missing. Anyways, eliminating the individual income tax. Oh, hold on. The authoritarians seek the exact opposite. And that's the tank shell we all dodged by not electing Kamala's ecosystem of tyrannical wannabes. Again, I don't know. To say that, like, not electing one side but electing the other side is let the bells of freedom ring, and let the deregulation come on, man. I'm a little bit I'm a little disappointed in Chris Martinson. But anyways, let's keep going for not sussing this one out a little better. But I will go further and strongly suggest that property taxes have to go as well. They represent taxes on unrealized gains. As your house is reassessed higher, you have to pay more. Okay, all right, okay, I could go with that one. I actually think that property taxes are fucking. Sorry. Oh, I'm about to cuss. I think property taxes are really, eh, you buy the property, you own it, right? When you buy the mortgage and the deed and the whole thing, and you buy the land and it's your house and your land, but you still got to pay taxes on it. I think that's a little much. I think it is extortionary. Anyways, let's keep going. Property taxes mean you don't actually own your property, right? You rent it from your local government, which is, surprise, exactly the same system as China has. It's entirely antithetical to the idea of being free. You are a slave to the system. This is what has been exposed this past 2 years, or past 2 weeks, and this week in particular, with the disgusting displays by those opposed to Trump's cabinet picks. The mask has been taken off. There are people in power who hate the foundational ideas of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. How else can we interpret Elizabeth Warren openly worrying about RFK's impact on pharma profits over any concern for the life of our children? And, he's right about that one. That actually was. If Elizabeth Warren could look any more worm-like, I don't think she can. She was the most wormy I've ever seen her in that exchange. She looks like a worm, by the way, with the hair. That's a major undercurrent I'm detecting in these hearings. Anyways, Pete St. Onge is talking about this, and the greatness and the freedom, and the American flag shirts that we'll all be wearing if only we could get rid of the IRS. And there's a lot to debate in this, I guess. But I mean, I could debate several angles of this. On a basic level, I think that getting rid of income taxes would be great. Basically, I think that would be great. I think it's, it is slavery and or extortion in the same way that property taxes are. I agree. However, I do also agree. I also think that it's possible for the government to protect people in a way, protect people from the vultures of capitalism, and that should be their job, right? Not just to protect you from Russia or China or Iran, but to protect you from the vultures of capitalism. At one time, this government did something like that, and now it's going in the opposite, has gone in the opposite direction to such a degree that nobody even knows what words mean anymore because everyone's lost and nobody knows what anything means anymore, and we're all debating words that we don't understand the meaning of. So it's like, well, how are we even gonna? We can't go from point A to point B because we don't even know where point A is. So first of all, we have to establish where point A is so that we can get to B. But I don't know how that's going to happen. Let's keep going.
Donald Trump is doubling down on completely repealing the income tax, replacing it with tariffs on foreigners. The left, who uses the income tax to suck the blood from the American people on behalf of giant corporations, and pink-haired child mutilators are popping their little heads. Now, during the campaign, Trump had repeatedly mused, what if we just get rid of the income tax and abolish the IRS? The left was not taking him seriously because, like politicians say all kinds of stuff when they're trying to get elected. But now, with the election safely under his belt, Trump is not letting it go. In fact, he's doubling down. In an address to a major GOP policy retreat in Florida, Trump ran through the history of the tariff, how America was much richer as a country when we funded the federal government not off the blood, sweat, and tears of the American people, but off foreigners in the form of tariffs. Of course, that golden age ended in 1913 with the left's victorious imposition of an income tax that was originally promised as only hitting the top 1%, but today, of course, hits everybody. Now, I've talked about the tariffs for income tax trade-off, but in short, if you get rid of the income tax and replace it with tariffs, you're looking at a $1.5 trillion net decline in federal taxes, so you would need Elon's Doge to cut spending. In return, you would massively raise income, raise economic growth, and lower inflation. I've estimated the average American household would see something like a $30,000 rise in annual income. It's about 40%, and it comes to about $2,500 per month. About half of that would come from the taxes you no longer pay, the other half from higher economic growth since we would no longer be taxing work or entrepreneurship. The higher growth would be what's lowering inflation, since inflation is money chasing goods. More goods, a bigger economy, means lower prices. That would easily offset whatever tariffs due to prices. Moreover, and Trump's highlighted this, an America without an income tax would be easily the most attractive country to produce on Earth. Especially paired with tariffs and regulatory cuts, which Trump is also pushing, literally every country on Earth would start trying to move production to America. China would be the one crying about rust belts. So what's next? Brought to you by Unchained.com. I was giddy about a presidential candidate merely talking about ending the income tax. Now we've got a sitting president who actually wants it. Hard to overstate just how massive this is. Having said, can it happen? With Republicans controlling all three branches, absolutely. Legislatively, you just repeal the Revenue Act of 1913, stroke of a pen, the IRS is gone forever. And thanks to something called reconciliation, any bill that primarily affects revenue, which this is by definition, only needs simple majority in Congress to pass for 10 years.
So, do you think the display, do you think that maybe taking over the controls of a Black Hawk helicopter and flying it into a plane might be the show of power that somebody is saying, we could do this to Air Force One, you know? Do you think that has anything to do with repealing the income tax? Just think about it. Just think about it. That's all I'm saying.
At which point I suspect the American people will not want an income tax they have not been paying for 10 years. In short, after generations of promising to battle for smaller government, the GOP finally has the chance to make all their promises come true. Trump wants it. The American people want it. Gallup says Americans think their taxes are too high by 15-1. The last barrier is Republicans in Congress who, in theory, serve you. Read the rest with charts and all the gory details at profsatange.com.
All right. What do you guys think? I'm interested to know what y'all think. About this. I mean, you guys are kind of giving me the gist already. It's a good idea. Do you think it's going to happen? Does it have a chance, a snowball's chance in hell? I don't think it has a snowball's chance in hell, personally. Not bloody likely, to put it another way. No. But it gets everybody excited. And everybody's doing think pieces on it, and videos, talking about how great it's going to be. I'll believe it when I see it. But hey, I love it. Yes, Denver. And yes, John Glad, you guys are. Was it John Glad that said, hold on, I'm going back. Corporate taxation could fund the government. Exactly. Because what we have right now is socialism for the wealthy and the corporates, the corporate class. Total socialism for them. And what they want is even more bootstrapping capitalism for us, right? So let's turn it around. And then I would be like, all right, yeah, want to fund the government? Let's do man, how much money did Tesla, Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, how much did all these, Facebook, Google, how much do all these, Amazon, uber wealthy businesses, corporations make last year? I mean, we taxed y'all 10% of your real net worth, not what's, when we're talking, including all the offshore bank accounts and the offshore, everything on the books. We tax you at 10%. I bet we would have, much, much more than we ever tax out of, lowly, hardworking uh, minimum wage slaves of the U.S. Way more. So I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of that. Absolutely. Let's, this is red meat for the base and all that kind of stuff, or getting people like, all right, now you're talking. Hate the IRS. But they're not even, there's no discussion about we could get money from, we should be taxing these corporations that are stealing your wages, taxing these corporations that are defiling the planet, taxing these corporations that are, you know, just sucking the money out of the middle and the lower class, hand over fist. Yeah, and then they're giving away money to Stargate and all kinds of stuff. Stargate grift. Yeah, it's a total like these. Do they need $500 billion? These uber wealthy, AI companies. They call them startups, but they have so much money. They're all funded by all these tech giants that have so much money. They need 500 billion for the government. Does Elon Musk need the billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars that he gets from the government to run, to do SpaceX and Starlink and Tesla and whatever else he's doing? Yeah, I'm all for. I think we should change it up. Hey guys, by the way, if you like this show and you're a fan of the show and you like hanging out, um, chatting up in this show Monday through Friday, you like the show coming to you for free 99, and you want to support the show, well, that is a great feeling indeed. I'm going to support that feeling. If you want to do it, there's lots of ways to do it. In the description box, all the usual suspects are there: Venmo, Cash App, Coffees, Ko-Fi, all the ones, PayPal. Um, and so, your support of the show, make sure that it can continue. And a lot of y'all already support the show. Many of yous, and you know who you are, and I appreciate you. Let's see. Hey, you guys, let's do. I'm kind of running out of time. Um, but I want to do like 10 minutes on Rockfin. So if you guys want to go over to Rockfin and Rumble, I'm gonna quit the YouTube stream, and hopefully that'll work out. I just want to cover like two more things. Let's see if it'll work out. But anyways, YouTubers, see you on Monday. See you on Monday. And we'll see you all over on Rockfin for just a couple more minutes. Let's see. End stream on YouTube. Goodbye. All right. Okay, so I think we're off of YouTube now, and we are on Rock.